Hey everybody, welcome to the PC Perspective Podcast. This is episode 299, which means after this comes 298 and the slow descent back to where we stop doing the show at 0. Who's in for the long haul? 300 more episodes? Jeremy, you've got to be in.
Do it standing on my head. I already have.
Today is May 7th, 2014. I am Ryan Schrout.
I'm Jeremy Hellstrom.
I'm Josh Walrath.
And I'm Alan Malmontano.
And we're going to have a guest appearance. We're actually going to kick Alan off the show momentarily. And then we'll bring in Maury, who's going to talk about a product review. And then we'll kick him off the show and bring Alan back here in just a little bit. Before we do that, a couple of housekeeping things to get to. First, we record this show live every Wednesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. And we do so at PCPer.com/live. You can come watch us record the show live, hang out in the chat room, make fun of people, offer suggestions, answer questions, ask questions, that kind of stuff. And if our regular schedule is not enough for you, you can go to PCPer.com/subscribe. And if you do that, you get a little form. We ask for your name, we ask for your email address, and then you are signed up for our mailing list. And all we do is send you emails whenever we are getting ready to start live events. This is important because sometimes we do unique live events. On Saturday, we did a live event where we did a game stream of the PC Perspective and Fragging Frogs Virtual LAN Party number 6, which I attended. Jeremy, I know you were at.
It's true.
And you posted up a results page of this. This was actually a really cool event, and I was excited. It has grown quite a bit. We had prizes to give away. What kind of stuff did they give away?
Oh, like 24 FX 8350 processors from AMD, just a couple.
Wow, okay.
Warsam from AMD tossed in his own personal 7990 dual GPU and 10 Never Settle Forever silver game codes. AMD did a really good job, but
yeah.
I gotta say FLAC kind of stepped it up a notch. Giving away games from EA or from Epic, any one in their library, signed by Tim Sweeney. You could also pick up some of the strategy guides and posters, again, signed by Tim Sweeney.
Yeah, they were like, and it was, whatever Epic game you want, we probably have it. Just tell her what it is. She'll get it signed and have it sent off to you. So it's not like they have a stack of stuff pre-signed and it was something that was left over from some competition they had. They were gonna, take the things that you wanted, the game that you wanted to go get it signed and send it to you. It was really, really, really cool.
And yes, there was a UTK4 guide that you could get.
That's pretty awesome. Huge props to Lenny for helping set up and organize all of this stuff. He did a fantastic job. I know it's a lot of work to deal with a lot of people like that, and then dealing with the prizes. Huge thanks goes out to Sam at AMD and all the guys at AMD for participating, and then obviously FLAC at Epic for that. It was a load of fun, and as many people in the chat room have already been saying, it was like. There was a game that we had where there were it was, I don't know what we called it, Jeremy, but they were you would go on a battlefield map and the only purpose was to find 2 specific people. The first 2 to take their dog tags won a prize. Right, first 2 people to knife them.
You gotta stab them.
Now I got knifed
stabbed right away.
I got probably knifed 6 or 7 times, but I wasn't worth a prize. So people just were out to get me apparently, and wanted to stab me with a knife. Virtually, I mean, in the game. So.
Who doesn't?
It was. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that our last LAN party was about 30 and change people. With all the work Lenny and the Fragging Frogs have done, we were well over 60 playing, and even more than that, just sort of sitting in the background and talking. So if you've got any interest whatsoever in joining our next VLAN, or on the regular gaming days, there's probably a couple of Fragging Frogs not watching us and actually playing right now.
Yeah.
Head over.
How dare they?
Well, they're confused. They just don't quite have their priorities.
They could have us on on their phone or on a laptop or on a tablet while they're gaming. We never know. You don't know.
See, that's it. We need a tie-in in a game.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you've got any interest whatsoever, drop by the gaming forums, drop Lenny a PM, and try. We're always around, so it's going to match up with your schedule. It's a hell of a community, and you should join up and make sure you come to the next VLAN.
Yeah, the next one I'm gonna talk with them about when we want to schedule that, because this was even kind of, again, even for me, it was kind of like, my wife needed to do some things. I had to do some other things that day, so I was only able to play for like 3 hours or something like that. And I streamed out the whole time, which was really fun. We had the TeamSpeak server, tons of space on that for people. It was a lot of fun. It really was. I didn't know how having a group of 60 to 80 people on a single TeamSpeak server would work out. Surprisingly well. Push to talk is your friend. It was a load of fun. It was a load of fun. So I'm looking forward to the next one of that later in the summer. Also coming up tomorrow, if you watch this live, if you're getting this after the fact, I don't know if this event will already have happened. It will depend on Ken's schedule. But we have JJ coming in studio tomorrow, May 8th. At 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern for an Asus Z97 motherboard live streaming event. So JJ will be in-house, a crowd favorite, I'm sure. He's going to talk through all the new Asus Z97 motherboards. We'll go through all the lineups, the standards, the Tough series, the ROG series. We'll do Q&A. He'll have all kinds of demos to show off. We have some prizes to give away. We're giving away a Z97A motherboard and a Maximus 7 Hero motherboard as well. We'll be doing that on the live stream. That's, again, May 8th, tomorrow if you're watching this live, and that will be at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. If you don't catch it live, you can still get all the demos and explanations and motherboard information. We'll have a news post up on PCPer.com, and also it'll be available on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/PCPer. So that'll be awesome as well. So if you have the ability, if you could sneak away at work, or just, hey, put on some headphones. Who cares what that boss says anyway? You can watch that event tomorrow. So that'll be a lot of fun. Speaking of which, let's bring in Maury, who is online with us now. Maury, are you there? Maury, come in.
Hello.
All right, Maury, we're here to talk about the Asus Z97 motherboard review that you did. This is the Z97 Deluxe from Asus. We wanted to bring you in and talk about this kind of, specifically it's a new chipset. And then as a kind of promotion, I guess, for our stream tomorrow with JJ. So give me a little bit of breakdown. What is new about the Z97 Deluxe, and what is new, if anything, about the Z97 chipset by itself?
Okay, we've covered some of this before when we went over the Asus overview.
That's right.
But basically, Asus, what they did with all of their boards across the board, and that's very cliche, I know, they basically used the Z97 launch to redo their aesthetics and some of the branding across their lines, right? They, for the channel board we're looking at here, the Z97 Deluxe. They you still have the black and gold, but they muted the gold a little bit to make it a lot less garish than the old channel board coloration was, and they also added the round heatsink to it, which, in my opinion, looks a lot nicer than than the old design, and it differentiates it from the old line. The board itself looks a lot. I mean, I like the looks of the channel boards a lot more than their old boards. They look a lot sleeker, a lot more professional than the old ones did. I mean, the old ones kind of didn't look quite Mickey Mouse, but they were kind of cartoony a little bit with it.
Yeah, no, I agree. The coloration on these, I think, looks classy. And I think it was Austin Evans sent me a tweet when we posted out this review that he was surprised that there was a good-looking gold and black motherboard, or a good-looking motherboard with gold on it. It's not quite. It's a pretty large step from the ECS. What was that, the AX2?
Yeah, the Golden Dragon, I think it was, or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's quite a step away from that. I'm not going to say which one's better. Everybody's allowed to have their own opinions. But probably this one. Continue.
Okay, well, with this board, this is their Z97 board. Z97 introduces the ability to use SATA Express and a new M.2 standard, both which are able to run at 10 gigabit per second. So it's not quite double of SATA 3, but it's better. Both of those are also running directly on the PCIe bus, as opposed well, I mean, they're still running. They're taking PCIe lanes. They have dedicated lanes for the SATA Express and for the M.2 slots, as opposed to the way the SATA did through the typical controller. You're not going to see much of a performance boost when you're plugging in a normal SATA device into either the M.2 slot or into one of the SATA ports on the SATA Express slot. But in testing, we actually did see a little bit of bump on. Let me see. Let me get to that. Sorry, I'm.
It's all right.
On the. Let's see. On the. Was it on the writes? We actually saw a bit of a bump. We saw maybe, 5% boost in speed when you were either using M.2 or SATA Express. On writes only, reads were the same. But you're talking over 500 megabit per sec or megabyte per second transfer rates on a SATA device, which is good.
Interesting.
The SATA Express port itself consists of 2 SATA 3 ports, and then there's a smaller device port next to it. And those three device ports is SATA Express. The third port is for, I believe it's a control lane, so that you can get the maximum bandwidth out of the 2 SATA 2 ports. Now, unique to the Asus board, and they have this, depending on what line you're talking about, what board you're talking about, they kind of change up, how many SATA Express devices they have, how many SATA ports they have, whatever.
Okay.
But this board has it has the Z97 chipset, and it also has an AS Media chipset, which is an Asus internal chipset. So it can support 2 SATA Express ports as well as the M.2 port. Now, the unique thing here, or not, it's not unique, but and I've seen this on other boards from other manufacturers. The SATA Express port one of the SATA Express ports and the M.2 port share bandwidth. Okay.
Okay.
Some manufacturers are either or. Asus chose to make it share bandwidth. So if you had 2 devices plugged in, it's going to share bandwidth and fight for bandwidth over those 2 ports. It's not going to fully disable them, but
okay.
It's going to share bandwidth. So
this the Z97 Deluxe, is this their highest end of the channel boards?
This is their flagship channel board.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. It's got a slew of SATA ports. It's got 3 SATA Express capable ports theoretically. It's got a lot of USB 3 ports, some USB 2 ports. It's got built-in Wi-Fi. It's 802.11 dual channel. They also include there's a Thunderbolt port on the. Is that Thunder? Wait, is that?
I think that's just mini display port on the back.
Or no, that's mini HDMI. Oh, sorry. Okay, but they do have Thunderbolt capabilities. They include the Thunderbolt EX2 card with this board.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is nice. That board is Thunderbolt 2 is capable of 20 gigabyte per second transfer rates.
Gigabit.
They also include 2 NFC capable modules. One is for wireless charging, if your device is capable of that, and one is for wireless NFC transfer.
Interesting.
Okay? Yeah, they really, they basically, I said this in the conclusion, they basically packed everything but the kitchen sink into this board.
I love the fact that they have included the Thunderbolt EX2 on this. It's actually the dual, so it actually supports 2 ports on it. Because the first version of this was never released, right? We have a couple that we use internally because we had samples, but all of their Z87 motherboard line supported these cards, and they were never released. The fact that not only are they releasing this, but they're including it with the deluxe board is pretty awesome. So I am excited about that, and hopefully for increased Thunderbolt adoption and acceptance and accessories and stuff like that.
Yeah, they're definitely pushing Thunderbolt with this generation, that's for sure. Because the biggest problem with Thunderbolt is there was some kind of fight between getting the specs standardized, and they finally got this Intel to standardize the spec and to verify or validate the Thunderbolt 2 card. So they're really pushing it with this generation.
Let me ask you this: what is the device? The wireless charger? Is there a wireless charger?
Yes, that's one of those pictures. Give me a second. Let me get the box and actually pull it out here.
I've got the pictures pulled up.
Oh, you got the pictures, okay.
And it shows WPC QI, or is it?
Yeah, there you go. You got the back of it right there. So if you scroll up a little bit, it looks just like, see how the device has that symbol on it? It looks like an on-off symbol. That is some kind of standardized symbol for wireless charging.
It's the QI. I can't remember if it's pronounced QI or if it's pronounced key or something like that.
Quite interesting.
Right. Now, I did some research on this because I have an S3 and my wife has an S4. I'm going to be getting an S5 soon. Apparently, there are some devices that support this standard, but there's not a lot out there. The S5 does support it natively. The S4 and the S3 both have add-on battery packs you can get for them. Because basically, there's got to be some kind of connector in it, some kind of receiver in the
you've got to have an inductor in it,
back
kind
panel
of built
or something
in for it.
To make the induction work. And I'm sure they have stuff for the iPods and tablets and all. But basically, what Asus is pushing with this is you have both modules sitting right next to each other. You have your tablet or smartphone sitting on the charger while it's communicating with the computer through the other NFC port.
Gotcha.
So it's a really neat thing, and they're black. They're nice looking. They'll kind of blend in with whatever other gear you have. So.
Okay, I think it's cool. They even included in this picture here. You can see they included an NFC tag, which I have one here that I've been trying to play around with. I can't get it to write. I can't get my phone to write to it to do anything interesting. But it's almost as if Asus was like, man, we kind of ran out of stuff to put in the box to make the deluxe like a more expensive, higher end product. And I think these are interesting things. I'd like to
maybe they should have contacted Hitachi.
I'm just hoping that I think JJ sent one of these boards here for our videos that we're going to do tomorrow. I'm going to tell him he has to keep it here so that I'll build my system out of it and try to use all these weird things and see if they're actually useful for kind of consumers in the long run.
Now, Ryan, you mentioned that NFC tag. The interesting thing with that is you can actually use that with Windows 8 for login if you want to. If you wanted an added layer of security, you can actually use that tag. You basically bring it in contact or close to the NFC receiver, and it will actually act as a login device and a security device. That's what they were pimping in the manual. So.
Yeah, the idea then, that's if your phone doesn't have NFC built in. But if your phone has NFC built in, I guess you could probably just use your phone.
Yeah, I believe so.
I think so. Yeah, but it's cool to have those tags to do. You can do other interesting things with it. Ken and I were talking about it before. It's a topic for another time, but it's interesting to see what you can do with it. But go ahead. What else? What else about the board? I mean, in terms of, we talked about all the features it has, and performance-wise, we're not expecting much, right? It's still supporting Haswell processors. Have they talked about upcoming processors with this at all?
The upcoming processors, basically, you're going to have a Haswell refresh of processors coming out soon. We don't know when. They're going to be sometime between the official May 11 launch and probably August. And you're going to have non-K and K upgrade processors coming out. The Z97 boards will support both the old Haswells and the new Haswells, but the new Haswells will not work on a Z87 line. You have to have a Z97 to use the new Haswell processors. They're upgrading. They did some work on the internal power regulation and that kind of thing in the CPUs with the motherboards that require the use of the new chipsets for them. The other thing that Asus did was they actually upgraded the power components on the board. With their previous lines, they kind of differentiated the lines more with the power components they used. The ROG and the Tough series always had the high-end top components, that you could set fire to them and the board would still work.
Sweet.
These boards actually have upgraded chokes on them. They have the 10K the 10K black capacitors. They have They have some ESD protection in the USB stuff, so that if you had a power surge, it wouldn't fry your board. It would trip the ESD in your USB, and you wait 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and USB will come back to life. It'll auto reset. And I did ask them pointedly about that in meetings we had with them. The other cool thing is that all fan headers support up to 1 amp of power delivery, which is incredible. Because most of the time, you know, if you put more than a 0.3 amp fan in it, you'd be
Let me ask you this. Why do I want a 1 amp fan?
Well, no, it's not a 1 amp fan, but you can drive multiple fans from a single header. So say if you had a CPU cooler with 2 or 3 fans on it, it had 2 or 3 0.25 or 0.3 amp fans. You drive that from one header on this Asus board.
Maybe some other accessories and stuff too that you might plug in through that.
Maybe most other accessories you plug in through that are going to be for monitoring, like your water block.
Okay.
I mean, some of the all-in-one coolers, their pumps run off of. The pumps do run off of the fan headers, but that's only the lower end stuff. The higher end stuff, actually, usually the pumps run directly off Molex because they just need the power.
Gotcha.
But
or maybe you ran one of those older Delta fans. The ones.
Yeah,
that,
you could. Yeah.
You couldn't even hear your motherboard catch on fire.
Fan.
Yeah.
The other cool thing they did was they upgraded the sound. The sound comes. They integrated their new version of their sound chipset. The Crystal Sound 2 is what they're calling it. They also included, I believe, it has the upgraded audio capacitors on it as well. And it has, of course, the audio PCB has the line that you can see where the audio PCB and the board PCB are separated.
Yeah, you can see here in this picture. So the idea is they don't put any other logic around that on the PCB to kind of prevent noise from the audio controller to the actual analog outputs, right?
Exactly. And that's the thing is that is a common theme with most manufacturers with the Z97s. They're all doing this separate audio PCB, enhanced caps, different chipset, all this stuff. So, but I mean, a lot of the caps they're using on the audio section they're not your normal caps. These are higher end audio specific caps you'd find in your audio, your receivers in your home theater system.
Like Nishikon.
Like Nishikon, yes.
Interesting.
I don't know for sure if these are Nishikon or not, though, Josh.
There
are some boards that do have the Nishikon on them, but I'm not sure if these ones are the Nishikon ones.
Give me a couple of. So we've talked a lot about the hardware stuff. Obviously, there's a lot more in the review if people want to go read that. But give me a high level. What has changed in the BIOS, EFI, or the software, or is it just kind of modest optimizations from what they had before?
No, we'll start with their Windows application software. Application software, they actually changed their Windows application. They went from calling it dual intelligent processors with 4-way optimization to dual intelligent processors with 5-way optimization. The 4-way optimization basically included your turbo processing unit, which is your normal overclocking type stuff, your energy processing unit, which is your energy saver stuff, DigiPower control, which is going to be your VRM type stuff, power phases, that kind of stuff, and Fan Expert, which is your fan controller. That's 4-way optimization. With 5-way optimization, they added in something called Turbo App into that. What Turbo App is Turbo App actually allows you to set up application-specific profiles based on the other 4 optimization methods. So you can actually put an application in and tie it to a hotkey, or just have it auto sense. And when that application runs and you hit the hotkey or whatnot, it will enact your profile, your power profile.
That's cool.
So it's very, they did some real nice advancements there. It's a very sleek. The interface on it is very nice. I mean, it's very reminiscent of the older version, but it's a nice little.
They do a good job of. They've done a good job, I think, more than any other motherboard vendor, of kind of modernizing and making the interface easier to use, more intelligent, and easier to understand, I guess is the way to put it. What about in the BIOS or EFI directly? I don't want to spend too much time on this because I know a lot of what we're going to do tomorrow with JJ is going to be centered around the software and all the demos they're going to do through that.
Right. Okay. BIOS. Biggest change they made was easy mode. Easy mode used to be an okay mode, but usually you'd skip it and go right to advanced mode. They actually made it more usable. They added more. They rearranged stuff on it, and they actually added some GUI specific wizards. So you can actually, from easy mode, use a wizard to set your, if you want to do, profile, or if you want to do the preset profile based overclocking, go through a wizard and say, okay, this is how I'm using my computer. I'm going to use it for gaming and RAID and whatever, and the wizard will actually guide you through that.
I like that. They got the boot priority kind of right there.
So front and center, they have the fan stuff.
The
you can
CPU
actually
fan,
do the fan stuff. You can actually it's a interface is very reminiscent of the Fan Expert 3 UI that they have in the Windows app. A lot of the UFI the easy mode apps the wizards are reminiscent of what they have in their Windows apps. I would like to know how you took the screenshot on January 1st, 2009 though. Oh yeah, that was I forgot that.
Dude, you're so biased.
Man, so
biased.
Gosh,
yes.
from the past.
But yeah, they just added a lot of nice wizards and nice the
fact that
added
you can
a lot
put
of nice Windows-based functions that they taking advantage of the Windows-based nature of the UEFI BIOS.
Yeah.
It's
cool
it really is what you expect from an Asus BIOS. They did upgrade. They updated the look of it a little bit. Even the advanced mode, they updated the look of it. But you get what you expect in the BIOS. It just has an updated look. And from what I understand and seeing the stuff in their preview meetings, each board line will be custom. The BIOS will be customized look and feel wise for that board line. Like the ROG BIOS is going to be red and black, and it's going to probably have some enhanced features that ROG is going to put in there.
Sure.
The WS line is going to be something different than this. The Tough line is going to be your desert camo look, and it's going to have much more energy efficient type stuff in it, that kind of thing. But you'll see those in our later reviews, of course.
All right. So give me a summary here of this board. We have a lot of Z97 products coming up. You have motherboards in from MSI and Gigabyte. I don't know. We've had some from EVGA in as well. Others from Asus. I don't want you to even say this is the best motherboard you should buy, because we have so many other Z97s to look at. But what's your kind of takeaway from this particular board?
I like this board. The board performed well. There was really no issues with it. I really found no issues with this board. I like the package. Really the only issue was the price. The price of this board with all the goodies they included with it is $399. It's a premium over the board without the goodies, which is $299.
Okay.
And the only other thing was the AS Media controller. It didn't perform. Its performance was sub 400 megabyte per second transfer rates.
Gotcha.
But we've seen that on other companion chipsets. It's very rare that a companion chipset will equal the Intel chipset performance. But it's a really good board. It looks good. It performs well. It's well designed, and it's got a lot of neat features in it. That's why I gave it a gold award. Even though it was the first board, I kind of knew what we were getting into sort of with it, and I was very impressed with this board, especially since it was a channel board.
Very cool. All right. Well, thank you very much for guest spotting in on the show this week, Maury. I think you had the most kind of important and informative review that went up, that was going to be around for the long haul. So I wanted to make sure we had your input here. If you want to hear more about this particular motherboard, the Asus Z97 Deluxe, and anything else Asus has for the Z97 chipset, make sure you tune in to our live stream, or if you're listening to this after the fact, you can find it on our website at PCPer.com or on our YouTube channel.
Oh, yeah. Ryan, one more thing I wanted to say also. It's something that came up in chat. This board and most boards in the Asus line currently do not have PLX chips, so they're going to run at 844 if you populate all PCI Express X16 slots. The only board in the Asus line currently that I know of that has an inbuilt PLX chip is the Z97 WS board, which is part of their workstation line. And then that again you will see in a future review probably in the next few weeks to a month. So. Cool. Just throwing it out there. And the PLX chip basically gives you 8x8x8x8 because it's got 4 slots, and the PLX chip adds some more PCIe lanes.
It's a lot of stuff.
Now, the other thing is that there is a PLX chip on the board that's for the SATA Express, because they had to add more PCI lanes to support the added, not PCI Express, the SATA Express on the AS Media chip. So, just to kind of muddy the waters further there.
All right. Well, we will be hearing from you a lot in the next coming weeks about all these different motherboards, so stay tuned. Thanks for joining us, Maury. We're going to hang up on your ass now, and we're going to call Alan back. Hopefully he's not packing again in his free time, and we will continue on with the show. We're going to move to, actually, Sebastian was quite productive this week. He got a couple of reviews out for us. The first one being of the Cooler Master Seidon. I'm going to go with Seidon. It's like Poseidon without the P. Sounds right. Right, Josh? Seidon?
Sure.
Poseidon? Seidon? 120V liquid CPU cooler. This is a unit from Cooler Master. And an interesting kind of twist to the story. You can see it's a self-contained water cooling kit. Nothing... this is not like a really high-end, super extraordinary unit. It's a pretty good unit. But it doesn't have, I don't know, some of the bells and whistles you might see. I don't know what bells and whistles you have with self-contained CPU coolers, but Sebastian compared it to Cooler Master's own Hyper 212 Evo rather, which is not a
the most popular heatsink ever.
Yeah, it is like the most popular heatsink ever, and it's been around for a long time too, I think. But still very effective and also low cost. What's this thing cost? It's like 35
$29 bucks.
Yeah,
35.
So cheap.
That's pretty good. It's pretty good. And look at those heat pipes. Look at them. They come in direct contact with your processor.
They're super.
With spaces, and then when you get heat expansion and contraction, it differs the pressure on the heat spreader,
Is that good or bad?
Let's talk physics. It's not good. But you know what? It's not going to destroy anybody's CPU.
It's not going to hurt anything.
No.
He kind of used that the Seidon 120V and the Hyper 212 Evo and then the AMD stock cooler, which obviously was going to perform poorly, just to kind of see how these things compared. And what he kind of came away with it was that the Hyper 212 is actually a really, really good part still. If you look at some of these temperatures, right, the 4770 stock under load, the Cooler Master Side 120V water cooler is only 2 degrees Celsius lower than the Hyper 212 Evo, right? And overclocked, that difference is still... It's actually 2 degrees better on the 212 Evo, now that I look at it, when it's overclocked to the 4770K to 4.5 gigahertz. So this is actually, the review is of the Side 120V, but it may be more of a recommendation for the Hyper 212 Evo. It's a little bit quieter. You can see here in these tests as well, under load and under OC load. And let's see what's he doing here. Oh, even a little bit further, 1.4 volts. That's a lot of volts going into that Sandy Bridge E part there too. So I think the Seidon 120V is an interesting unit, but since he bought the 212V anyway to kind of compare it to it, and it turned out to be the 212 Evo was kind of the standout part there from Cooler Master's kind of modest cooling line. I think this particular part is only the Seidon is a fairly low cost unit, isn't it? It's like $50 or $65 or so. So it's low cost in terms of the self-contained water cooling unit. $50, or even cheaper than that. That's pretty cheap for a self-contained water cooler. But maybe there's a reason it's less expensive. But hey, for a $35 CPU cooler, that's pretty good as well. So check out that review if you're interested in comparing those two parts. Sebastian also wrote a review of a crowdfunded case. Have you guys heard of this case before?
Well, I've seen it kicking around for a little while.
I see what you did there. It was interesting because it wasn't...
No, it's kind of neat because they really did want input on what do you want from sort of not quite Mini-ITX or Mini-ITX, but a smaller sized case that's actually going to fit what you want.
There was a thread in the Hard OCP forums that's now 500 pages long where this guy started asking for ideas. And it eventually turned into, well, I think we can build this ourselves. I think who built it? Was it Leanne Lee? that actually built it for them. Yeah, they contracted Lee & Lee to make it, and they did an Indiegogo project, like a Kickstarter. They had to raise funds to make sure there were enough people interested that would buy it before Lee & Lee would, take the contract for it. And actually, a reader sent one in, and now I feel like an ass because I don't have his name pulled up. I'll say it was Alex. I'll look it up. Who had bought it, decided he was going to get married. Some people do that, and then he didn't have money to build the system to go in it yet. So he's like, hey, why don't you review this? And then by the time you're done, I'll be ready to build the system. So he lent it to us for review. Sebastian did an article on it, and it's actually a pretty impressive piece of machinery here. And actually, you can see this is their rendering comparing it to the BitPhoenix Prodigy. It gives you an idea of how small. This is the NCASE M1 Mini-ITX crowdfunded case review. The crowdfunded case is not part of their name. It was our name. But I like the sleek design. There's nothing like super fancy about it. It's got front panel USB 3. It's got lots of air inlets and outlets for fans. It can handle water cooling. There was a rendering of it.
It's ridiculously easy to tear apart.
Yes. Yeah. You can see here as he kind of, you really can take apart pretty much everything. Like there's like bare cage.
And if you drop it on the ground, it's awesome.
It might bend a little.
Parts go everywhere. It's fantastic. It opens like a flower.
Well,
it's like those old Hot Wheels that you smash up against the wall and they
maybe they figure if you're dropping it, you're trying to open it as quickly as possible, right? Maybe there's a surprise.
You have very important components inside that need to get out.
They need to get out immediately. So you can see Sebastian did a Mini-ITX build in this. This is with the ASRock FM2 A88X Mini-ITX Plus board. It does take a full-size power supply. There are some restrictions on that. You should read the article in terms of how long that power supply can be, if it has modular connectors, if it does not have modular connectors. It's pretty impressive to see all the stuff. I'm kind of scrolling through the pictures here on the video version to see all the stuff.
Zoom into the one where you got all the parts in it. Like, it's a tight fit, but it fits.
Yeah, so he also does it with an SFX power supply to kind of give you an idea.
Oh,
let's see. Where's the completed?
Was that a Titan? That was a Titan in there?
I don't know if it was a Titan or 780. All those.
Did you really land him a Titan? That's unfair.
Hey, don't hate, guys. See how productive he's being, Josh? Look at these. We're talking about 2 of his reviews this week. Look, they got hard drives mounted upside down. You got SSDs mounted in this. This thing can hold everything. It's got a top. That's awesome. Top mounted optical drive bay.
That's pretty nice.
I might actually put an optical drive in.
You might put an optical drive in, just so you could, you don't have any discs that you would put in it, but you'd have it, and you'd have one disc.
Have one sticking out.
Yeah, just have one sticking out the whole time.
What kind of optical is it? Is that like a laptop style slot load or what?
Yeah. And you can get those relatively inexpensively. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That reminds me of the D-Link. Whatchamacallit? The little any NAS.
Yeah.
It's about the same size. It's got the power. And
did he not use the picture next to the Coke can in the review?
I don't think he did.
Because that was a pretty good.
That's the classic picture that they used when they were first drawing their Indiegogo. I'll go to the Indiegogo page and look at it. So the issue with this is, let's see, I'm looking at it. The problem with this is you can't go buy it, right? It was an Indiegogo project. I think they're taking a second round now. For people that want to buy in again, but I think we're talking about something in the $200 range, which is a lot of money for a case, for sure. Absolutely, it is. But it's incredibly unique. Let's see. I think this is the original.
There's a lot of tooling that is probably required to make.
And it's a custom built thing. So here's their original Indiegogo page, right? They raised $152,000. And here's that rendering of it next to a Coke can. I don't know if they got the license for that, but I'm gonna move on. And then it says it says right now, as of April 19th, so fairly recently, they're planning a second phase production run. So we go here, you can sign up to get notified, apparently, of when they're going to do that. So it turned out to be a fairly successful project. So if we look, $205 is what you had to donate to get one of those. They sold 664 out of 667 units, right? So if you've got one of these, it's kind of a rare item as well. I mean, this is a picture of, this is rendering. This is not from the review, but this is it with a very long water-cooled graphics card, Mini-ITX setup. You can pack a lot of stuff in this. Not perfect. There were some, there were a couple issues that Sebastian found, but overall, I think pretty impressive for what it is. So, we gotta send this back to the reader that sent it into us. I think we're gonna be a little sad about it. I think Sebastian's a little sad about it. But what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
Hey, it's better to have loved and lost than never to have shoved your hardware into a really small case.
Story of my life. So
your hands look bigger.
The show is going long because of our Jesus. The show is going long thanks to our Z97 discussion. Real quick, I posted an article that looks at 2 Anker accessories, Anker 40-watt 5-port wall charger and a 1200 milliamp hour battery. If you have a lot of USB devices and you need to have them charged, this is the type of device you can pick up for $25. It has 5 USB ports. It'll do 8 total amps output, so 40 watts total, and it will divide it up intelligently amongst the 5 USB ports. So you don't have to. The old version we had had an iPad labeled port, it had a phone labeled port, it had a Android tablet labeled port, and it tried to guess how many amps it would take. Now, if you plug an iPad into an iPad Air, it'll draw 2.3 amps at whichever port you put it into. So you don't have to worry about any of that kind of stuff. That was nice for $25. The Astro 3 12,000 milliamp battery. It had 3 ports, smart, what do they call it? Power IQ USB ports as well. Another nice device, although it was limited to 4 amps out total for the 3 devices. But they serve different purposes. One is if you have a lot of devices at home, you've got a family, they've got phones, they've got tablets, you want to keep them charged. People are fighting over the wall outlets. That will help with that. And then this is for people who are on the go. 12,000 milliamp hours is like 1.5 iPads, close to that, something like that, or like 5 to 6 full phone charges, depending on what the size of the battery is. So, and that's $45. So if you want to check that out, feel free.
And we still haven't seen those butane-based chargers.
I don't feel like we'll ever see those.
That's too bad. It was kind of a neat idea.
It was a very neat idea. That was like CES 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
Yeah.
2 years ago? That was a long time ago. That guy got some VC funding and he out. I don't know if that's true. Let's run through some news items quickly as we can. NVIDIA sent me a cake. Next. Portal's coming out on Shield very soon, I think. Is that right, Ken?
The 12th.
Comes out today. Comes out May 12th. And this is native running on Android. Not like you're not streaming it over Game Stream. It's not a grid game. It's Portal running natively on Android. Top secret, can play through it on a Shield. And it turned out pretty good, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But how was the cake?
The cake was pretty good. I was disappointed.
I don't know. I didn't get any of the cake. I took pictures of the cake. I posted about the cake. Do I get cake?
No, you don't get cake. I am eating.
Well,
I am currently in the process. I'm currently in the process of eating the cake. It's not a great cake. It's a pretty good cake. It's just a cake though. It's just in the shape of a cake. I thought it'd be like in the shape of some Portal thing, or maybe even in the shape of a Shield. Maybe that's asking a little much for them to send out to so many people that they sent them out. But it was a clever marketing gimmick for us to promote Portal on Shield, and it worked, I guess, because they got a news post on it, and I got to eat cake. So thanks to everybody at NVIDIA for
I really got the short straw.
screwing up the diet plan that I was so close to being able to starting to implement.
Ken got to play Portal. That's reward enough.
Yeah.
I can't eat Portal.
Well,
you can't have
you
a
can
cake
have
in Portal either.
You could. I mean, you could. What we will all be playing soon, hopefully, is a new Unreal Tournament. Who's excited about this? Anybody?
I don't want to give up UTK4.
You we did play that on our LAN
move
party.
on. It's been 10 years, but I just can't stop playing it.
You know what I did today? We had that Samsung 4K monitor, and I changed the INI file in UT2K4 so I could play UT 2004 at 4K And other than the cursor and the menus being about the size of a $50 on the screen, it played pretty well. Like everything looked crisp. It looked good. And I didn't even go into the control panel and like force AA up to 16x and an isotropic filtering up to as high as it would go.
Maybe they'll just do an HD remake of UT 2004.
Maybe.
Listening?
I mean, maybe they're getting the dev community involved. They say this is a post by Scott on the site about an Unreal tournament announcement, and it involves a UE4 dev community. I don't know what that means. Nobody knows what that means. Are they going to crowdsource it? Are they going to like crowdsource maps or what? But that will be Thursday. It's tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern. Oh no, it's in the middle of our stream. We'll have to pause the whole thing to listen to what Epic has to say. So we'll
Run it in the background.
Yeah, we'll just put it in a pip in the corner, right? If they're live streaming it, so be interested in that. We're gonna skip a lot of these news things, but one I don't think we can skip is Josh. You were on a call with AMD this week, where they announced a couple of fairly interesting things.
Gee, a couple of fairly interesting things.
Okay, one.
I'm still actually writing this up and
okay.
trying to put my thoughts into a more coherent fashion and figure out. The one thing we do know is that Jim Keller's got some pipes, and he's going to whoop you up if you ever really ask him a question in a way he doesn't like. And that's fine because, he was locked away in Apple for quite a while, and apparently he had a lot of time to work out. So, good for Jim. Bravo. He did. I think Scott Wasson said the guy who did the Adventures of Hercules. What was his name?
Kevin Sorbo?
The Rock.
Kevin Sorbo. Kevin Sorbo. That Jim Keller and Kevin Sorbo are interchangeable.
Interesting. Okay, so tell me about
is.
the actual stuff that they announced.
Well, geez.
Just, I know. Well, hold on.
All right, introduce Seattle.
Hold on. I know you're
Seattle?
writing it up, so give us like a quick one, and then when you get the story up, we can talk about it a little bit more in depth on that podcast.
Okay. They have not released Seattle, but they're sampling it. It is their 8-core A57 base 64-bit processor. It's got like 4 megs of L2 cache, 8 megs of L3. It's based for server architecture, and they have stuff running on it already, and again, they're sampling that. 2015 is going to be kind of interesting because we're going to see the Seattle. We've got the Puma Plus cores with Beam and Mullins and their spawn. Also, they are what else doing? They're building their own 64-bit ARM processor from scratch. So they got the whole big ISA license from ARM. They're one of the few guys in the entire world that are doing that. And they feel that they could offer a lot to the industry because they're, competing against Samsung, Qualcomm, a couple other guys, maybe Freescale, I can't remember, who actually, license out the ISA and can build their own chips from scratch without using, the kind of cookie cutter licensed designs that pretty much everybody else does. So they're going to be these things are going to be HSA compliant and compatible. They're going to have the Radeon graphics on there. It's going to be interesting stuff. Jim Keller kind of dropped a bomb, said, "Yeah, we're developing a new Core x86 architecture, 64-bit architecture that's going to be released in 2016." So this is, a positive thing for AMD because Bulldozer has not exactly been incredibly successful for them, especially as compared to Sandy Bridge, Ivy Bridge, Haswell from Intel. Certainly they've been able to compete, but not compete as well as they wanted to. So they've got Jim Keller back. He's doing some interesting things. I think the most interesting thing about the 2015 launch is their Skybridge technology. And essentially what that is you've got one socket, and you can either put an x86 CPU in there, or APU, or an ARM-based APU.
That's so weird.
There. So they've made it so the memory controller is going to be pin compatible. I/O controller, again, pin compatible. In between these two products, and they've done a lot of work to get all of this to work, and we're going to see the fruits of these labors in 2015. So AMD is not standing still. Rory Reid has done a pretty dang good job picking up the pieces of what was left with AMD post ATI when they bought them. I mean, how many billions did they lose in company value?
A lot.
Yeah, it was a ton. Market share went down.
That's interesting. It's so weird to think of them as making their own ARM core, not just licensing ARM now, but.
Well, it seems like they got rid of a lot of the not invented here type mentality that Intel still kind of suffers from.
They do.
And so, yeah, I mean, they see this huge marketplace and potential marketplace that is all, Android-based, ARM-based, a ton of software that is directed at mobile and going into, greater than higher power densities than mobile.
Yep.
And they're grabbing the bull by the horns. They're taking advantage of everything that they see, and they're saying, you know what, we can't just sit here and say, hey, we've got a pedigree in x86 design. We are the first to bring 64-bit in x86. We've got to stay with this. No, they're like, you know what, hey, if we want to be in this whole Internet of Things, if we want to
stay in business,
exactly, we've got to adapt. And I think that's something that Rory and the gang, I mean, they cleaned some serious house when they got there.
They did, yeah.
And I'm not so sure that it wasn't, a bad idea to do that. They have certainly, going forward, I feel more comfortable
Interesting.
that AMD is going to survive because of really the multi-channel approach that they are taking to the industry and the marketplace. And they're willing to try new things that previously Mr. Sanders, Dirk, and the gang probably would not have. Hector.
Don't forget Hector. Yeah, come on.
Hector. Yeah. So
all right, well,
that's basically AMD in a nutshell. We thought it was going to be something of a boring little thing. It's like, core update. And then suddenly they drop quite a few bombshells that get killer up there, starting talking about stuff that's coming out in 2016. It was neat stuff.
Yep. We'll talk more about that when you get your write-up done, and we'll kind of theorize on what the direction is going from there. Let's run through some news bits fairly quickly here. Alan, what do you think about the idea of converting an mSATA device to USB 3 device for about $25?
I really like the idea, but I don't think there's that many folks that just happen to have like extra mSATA devices just lying around quite yet.
Yeah, even we don't. Is the idea that, or is it like...
It's a great idea because mSATA devices are really small and compact. And
are they? They're not less expensive, though, are they?
That's the thing. Yeah, I mean, you can get them for relatively cheap, but I wouldn't get one just for the purpose of sticking in this housing. Mm-hmm. And I mean, maybe I don't know. I mean, I think at this point, anybody that has one of those probably has them in a device. Like they had to buy it just to put it in a device, right? Yeah. But, great idea if you just happen to have extra.
You could, say you wanted to do, I am of the mindset, I could use a really fast, portable USB 3 drive for the office. We have some, but maybe we need something higher capacity. But if I want to buy a 500 gig drive to do that, I probably wouldn't buy the mSATA. I'd probably just buy the 2.5-inch SSD version of it, whichever thing. It'll be less expensive, and you can still power it with just USB 3, right? There's not an advantage of not needing external power or anything like that.
Yeah, and you can just grab one of these things with a 2.5-inch SSD.
Hey, wait, Maury, you've gained hair and lost weight.
Sorry. With a 2.5-inch SSD, it's already in the housing, sort of.
It's
right?
more protected. Yeah.
And so you can just grab one of these.
Why do you still have that out? Why is that not packed?
Because I haven't packed any of the desk stuff because I'm still trying to do review site stuff.
Oh, you should. That's a good idea.
See?
That's good thinking. Okay. All right,
That's
so
like-
that is
yeah.
the Get Speedy portable. No, wait, this was from Vision Tech. Dubbed the mSATA Mini USB 3.0 bus-powered SSD enclosure. Very clever.
900-696.
I mean, it's nothing wrong with the product itself. I just
Yeah.
don't think there's enough of a surplus of stuff to stick in it just yet.
Intel and Google hosted an event where they based around Chrome OS with new products using Haswell i3 and Bay Trail SoCs. There's a whole lot to this. Basically, they were talking about bringing Chrome OS to Haswell, lower-end Haswell SoCs, and the Bay Trail SoC. They have designs from Asus and Acer and HP, Toshiba, Dell, Lenovo, a bunch of people all using these devices, starting in like the 200 to 350 range. There's a ton of different products here. They even introduced a new segment that I hate the name of called the Chrome Base, which is an all-in-one. An all-in-one computer that uses Chrome OS is called the Chrome Base.
What
As
happens
opposed to
if
a
you-
NUC?
What happens if you drop it?
Chrome breaks.
What happens if all of them belong to you?
Well, none of your jokes are.
Oh, someone set us up that joke.
Well, see Jeremy, you're confused. The Chromebook is the notebook. The Chrome box is the Nook style small form factor computer. The Chrome base is one that's an all-in-one that has a screen. Like that. See?
You're right.
All right. So anyway, they were demonstrating that. We saw Lenovo launch two 11-inch Chromebooks, the N20 and the N20P, I think, are the two different ones there. And the differences are kind of in the what are
The P is touchable and full. It does the backflip to a tent style.
Okay, there it is. Yes, gotcha. 10-point multi-touch display and 300-degree hinge. Not quite 360, but 300 degrees.
Yeah, it'll pitch a
lot of
10.
hinge. It'll pitch a 10. Very clever. Well done, sir. Well done. Way to work that in. And then Asus also introduced a couple of Bay Trail powered ones, the C200 and the C300, starting at $249, an 11-inch and a 13-inch. All of these are using 1366 by 768 screens, which is not great. On an 11-inch, it's not a problem. On a 13-inch, not great. But again, for the $250 price range, that's what you're getting. Right? That's what you're.
Hey, at least I can read it well without glasses.
That's true. Using
my
that 4K
shoes.
monitor at 100% scaling on Windows is still pretty tough. So we had that. Intel also leaked Skylake and 100 series chipsets expected in 2015. Sorry, Maury, your Z97 reviews are already useless. Here
You're
are
obsolete.
Z100s or something like that.
They really should just
I
went with
guess.
a different naming scheme.
I don't even know if they mention Z100 in this particular graphic. No, they do. 100 series.
Yeah, that's not a very good name anymore.
The Z109? Sure, whatever. Z107. FM.
They
the
pay
boss.
marketing people tons of
Coming
money.
to
They
you
could
from
come up with
Snowfield
something.
Peak.
So this is just an overview of the Skylake platform, Cannon Lake at 10 nanometer. Is it going to be on schedule? Who knows what's going on? We've got all kinds of specifications we don't know anything about, like the quad-core Skylake H with GT2 graphics or GT4E graphics, the successor to Iris Pro. But what that actually means from a specification or performance standpoint,
Ooh, Skylake U with Iris Pro.
Skylake, yeah. But I am a little disappointed that we're only seeing quad listed. Even in the LGA, although it is interesting. Hey, LGA, look at that.
Land grid array.
Yeah, that's not BGA. It's LGA. That means it's a socketed platform, probably.
Yeah.
Probably. So that was a little bit of a leak. A little bit of a leak. Also maybe a leak, but probably on purpose. Actually, definitely on purpose. PowerColor, Jeremy, what are they showing off here?
Something we've seen from them before in the previous generation.
Oh.
Because
Devil.
with the dual Tahitis, we saw the Devil 13. And it looks like we're going to get a Hawaii version, at least.
Are they really
From
just
the-
going to call it Devil 13 again?
Oh, well, why not? It's like a family. Devil is... It looks like Devil 13 to me right there on that
It
back.
Why
certainly
can't they do
is.
like Jack Lord 13 with Hawaii? Da 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 da.
But you're going to need a big case. It's not going to fit in that end case.
Oh my
It's
God, look at
slot.
those power connectors.
Yeah.
There are Four 8-pin power
fours.
connectors, guys.
They ain't going off spec. Well, I guess
Thank
No,
goodness
not
we
the
got
least.
that 1500-watt power supply.
Yeah.
4 8-pins. It's not
Jeez,
bad.
Pete's. What am I looking at?
So, of course, this is still a leak. It's possible that this is not necessarily going to happen, but we sure hope it will, because that would just be amazing.
Where am I? Where do I need to go on that one, Ken? All right. Leaked
Oh,
photos.
the old stock H2s.
All right, he says there's another picture we need to show here. Loading.
that is the ugliest looking thing I have seen
Look,
in a while.
look at that back. Look at the back of that video card.
Oh,
That's.
It looks like they've 3D printed that.
I bet that's an inch thick to support the PCB weight of that heatsink. Actually, that doesn't look.
it
very
better
good
come with a
either.
car jack so it doesn't rip itself off and the PCI
Oh my
slot
Lord,
off.
look at that thing.
Yeah, that's the ugliest.
Well, you could build a house.
Look at the
like
size
that.
of those heat pipes, guys. Look at that.
There's like 15 millimeter heat pipes.
10.
Good Lord. And it's a 3+ slot.
Yeah. And I don't know what electrical trickery they're going to do on the PCIe to get that to go. It's
Good Lord.
without it catching on fire.
It's 3+1 slots.
This card is on fire.
He didn't sing it well enough. All right, let's talk about storage again. Alan, you want a 4 terabyte SSD?
Who doesn't?
Yeah.
But who can afford it?
No. How many
Yeah,
how many
there's-
dollars?
It's enterprise 4 terabytes, so many
Lots
dollars.
of dollars.
Lots and lots of dollars. Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's. Didn't we talk about this last week or?
I don't know. I wasn't here.
Oh, I think we might have mentioned it or something like that.
Okay.
We mentioned it somewhere, but the point I brought up then was, and I'll bring it up again, was they could have made a 4 terabyte SSD even a while ago. It's just that really, I don't think there was any kind of market like at all for that capacity. So, now they're doing it. Just
Understandable.
yeah.
I mean, we have 3.5-inch SSDs, right? OCZ had at one point 3.5-inch SSDs. You could put all kinds of flash in there if you wanted to.
You could, yeah,
Could have.
yeah, if you really want to make the form factor and
Why not 5 1/4?
Not 5.25.
Hey, come on.
Why not? Yeah, no, that's it. That's all.
You could fit like $100,000 worth of flash memory in a 5 1/4 probably easy.
I think No, I didn't. I thought I closed the window. Here we go. MSI ships GS70 Stealth Pro and GS60 Ghost Pro 3K gaming notebooks. 3K gaming notebooks is 2880 by 1620.
Yeah, but only one of them really is.
But what? Only one of them really is?
Yeah, the Ghost
Yeah.
Pro 3Ks are the Stealth Pros, unfortunately, are everyone's favorite 1920 by 1080. Which is kind
Oh,
of strange
okay.
because the Stealths are the 17.3s. The Ghosts are the 15.5.
So it's a super high-res 15.5-inch screen.
Yeah. Powered by a
Huh.
GTX 870.
So
The big difference is it's got 3 gigs, so you give up the 3K display to get double your memory to 6 gigs with a lower display. I guess because you're going to use it as a desktop replacement with a monitor.
So do you have to like hack Crysis to get full res on this
I don't...
at like 4 frames per second?
Well, yeah, clearly. I don't know. 2880 by 1620 is a 16 by 9 resolution.
Yep.
I don't...
But you don't forget about Super RAID and Super RAID 2.
They do have Super RAID 2, which is
And
three...
that's the Stealth Pro that's actually the only one that does it. So you've given up the resolution, but you've got
No, I think both of them do that, don't
128
they?
gig SSDs in RAID 0, which is just kind of crazy. The other ones are just 2.
Right. I remember hearing about this at CES now, the 3 mSATA SSD RAID. I do remember that now. That is a thing. That is correct.
Yeah, they're talking over 100 or 1500 megabytes a second, not bips, bytes.
Plus a 1 terabyte 7200 RPM drive.
Right.
Well, you
Why
gotta
did
put your
they-
Steam games somewhere, don't you?
Why are they saying RAID 2?
I don't. It's Super RAID 2. It's like Super Pipes, Super
But
RAID.
they're I see what they're trying to do there. I see they're trying to say like it's the second, like I guess they had a super RAID before.
They did,
So-
yes. On the hard next to it, Super RAID is just 2 discs.
Yes.
Yeah,
And then
Super
Super
RAID
RAID
2
2
is 3 discs.
So now you're going to confuse a lot of people that know what the RAID levels are.
Psst, nobody's gonna look at this specification.
It's a RAID 2 plus 0.
Good.
Yeah,
because,
that's it.
Wait,
It's not RAID 2.
You don't know about RAID 2?
You don't know about RAID 2, Alan? Come on.
I know what RAID 2 is. Nobody uses it.
You're probably the one that actually knows
except
what RAID
these
2
guys.
really is.
Yeah, I mean, it was only developed in the 1970s.
Yeah. You know.
Interestingly, the 17-inch version with the Core i7-4700HQ, 1080p screen, 870M with 6 gigs of memory, Super RAID 2, 128 gig times 3, plus a whole bunch of other features, under $2,100. It's pretty good, actually, price-wise. You get the SteelSeries backlit keyboard, HDMI, USB 3, 4 of those ports, 16 gigs of memory, killer game networking, Intel 72060, 802.11ac 2x2. It's not a bad system for $2,000, really. It's just disappointing. I would like to see this 2880 by 1620 unit.
Across
What in
the
the
board.
hell you do, right? Because you can't. This system's not going to be able to push any game at that resolution. So, if you run it at 1080p, does it, like seeing these two next to each other, will the 1080p on the 17-inch look better than the 1080p on the 15-inch? Because it's native res versus non-native. I don't know. And they're both the same price, too. Very odd. Interesting, but odd. This was... What is this? What are we looking at, Jeremy? GTX 780 Ti on Thunderbolt 2?
Well, we're looking at a theoretical possibility.
Oh, okay.
Because they never actually show it all hooked up and working in the system. Or, sorry, in the video. But
Really?
the idea that you could totally run a 780 Ti on Thunderbolt 2 is perfectly believable. There's no reason
Yeah.
you couldn't. But why would you do it? Because you are losing a lot of bandwidth. But on the other hand, you're hooking it up to, as you can see in the corner there, an Apple, and making it run. This is kind of cool. We've been on about external video cards for a long time. It's just
Yeah,
we need
Ken-
the bus to do it.
Ken was pointing out earlier today that this is something we saw at like CES 4 years ago. Like when
yeah.
Thunderbolt was first being kind of, even before it was actually officially released, I think. They were like, here's a dock. And I was like, oh, cool, send us one. And nobody ever sends us any because they don't work like they're supposed to work.
No,
Didn't Lucid tell us they were going to do it?
Probably.
I think they work. I just don't think they work well for video cards.
Right, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the idea of having an external graphics solution doesn't work quite like it's supposed to.
Well, Windows doesn't like it when you unplug its GTX 780.
Hey, Windows got to get over that crap. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah.
If I
I got on
want to
board.
unplug my
Come
video
on.
card on the fly and the spec supports it, Windows should support it. I don't know what else to say.
In fact, I should be able to upgrade on the fly.
Yeah.
Pop it out, put it
You
in a new one.
unplug the Thunderbolt, you change the video card, and then you plug Thunderbolt back in. It's a pretty simple process.
But I mean, if you're one of those types of people that, uses video cards for the wrong reason and has racks of them hanging up above a motherboard, I could see this becoming a thing.
Yeah, it's still expensive, though.
Well, they don't seem to care.
Speaking of things that are totally ludicrous and will never be useful, Crysis 3 has been hacked to run at 8K resolution.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about external graphics for laptops and notebooks.
Well, we just did. Two things that will never happen. Or never be useful. How about running Crysis 3 at 8K? At what did they do run it at? 2 frames per second? Is that what it was?
And it
But
wasn't
they have-
steady, I don't think.
Did they have like FSAA on or something? I mean,
Probably. If you're going to run it at 2 frames per second, why the hell not? What resolution was that actually running at?
8,000 by 3333, I think. It was a weird
Look at this.
resolution.
I mean, we're doing it on a live stream, so it's hard to see it. But this is an actual size image from the game.
View it in 720p, ladies.
Viewed in
and gentlemen.
720p, compressed to 1 megabit per second, streamed over the internet,
So imagine it was more than 10 times this good.
and it looks awesome. Like I want to try this now. I want to get like the 4 Titans we have and hook them up and be like, all right, let's do this.
Do this thing.
Let's do this.
we got
Make it
8
happen.
frames per second.
Now, can you can't
Wait,
see
where are you going to
8K.
get a 8K screen?
I don't know. How do you render this? He was just taking screenshots and then saving
I
them
guess I don't really know.
because you can't view it.
That seems like a weird resolution to just come up with. Is that standard 8K res?
I don't
No.
know. If you're gonna
No,
just
that's
make
not.
stuff
It's just
up,
twice
make
as
stuff
big.
up.
It's not even twice as big.
Well,
Because
no,
he-
but
Yeah.
it sounds twice as big.
He did 8,000 by 3 something.
It sounds like he had some kind of display or something. Because if you had some arbitrary way to just make up an output, then you'd probably just go for straight
Okay,
8K.
didn't
you had
one of
two
those
4K
like
monitors,
80-inch displays that have been shown off this past year have like a native 8K resolution?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. If you had two 4K monitors,
You couldn't
in
do it.
theory, you could iFinity them and make one resolution, and then you could run the
Not on the
game
Titan.
and be super
Yes,
slow.
Sharp had one.
But would that
really?
be 8K vertical?
No, it'd be 8K horizontal.
Right. So it's not the full
But
8K.
it'd still be by
That's my point.
2160. You wouldn't hit it.
It'd be
You need-
3840
you need
times
4 of
2,
them.
whatever that happens to be.
That is that even?
I don't know.
I don't know.
But I mean, it's close enough that people would round up anyway if it were actually a thing.
He figured. I don't know how he did it, but he was just exporting these images, and it seems like poster size or something because they're a really weird aspect ratio as well. If you go to
Oh,
the Flickr and
really?
look at-
Yeah, I'm
look
looking at his
those.
Flickr thing. Well, he's got some like this,
That's a pretty weird aspect ratio for a game.
and then he's got some like this. I mean, he might be just be cropping them, right? So, like, if I take one
I think
like
cropping it defeats a lot of the purpose.
that. Let's see. Does it
should
give
be
you?
able to
Does it
view
give
the
you the
info.
resolution? Yeah. Like, where's the info here?
This
This
photo
photo
is
is
safe.
safe. That's good news.
No, I mean, if he'd got one of those weird Sharps prototypes, they were 7680 by 4320.
That's still not high enough.
It's still technically not 8K, but it is close enough to 8K by
7680.
4K.
The original is 7680 by 4320.
So that one's cropped.
Okay, so yeah,
I think.
that's
Well,
what
maybe.
the Sharps was doing.
Weird.
That's so weird.
It's a weird one, though. Isn't
That's
it?
4K monitors.
I mean, I guess
That's
we could
double
do that.
3840 by double 2160.
I mean, we could do that.
I don't have four 4K monitors. I only have 3.
You don't, we have.
No, we have 5.
Yeah.
We could do that.
You've got so many you're
And
losing
you can
count,
still
right?
send me one.
No, I don't think we can do
You've
No,
that.
only
I
got
don't
3.
think
Send
that's
me
a
one,
thing.
send Josh one.
No,
I mean,
well,
they're going to be different.
2 of them
sizes.
are like 2 of them are TVs. 2 of them are multi-stream, which may make this impossible, and one of them is a Samsung I bought that's a single stream. The 2 TVs
Actually,
we could
it would
run.
be possible with multi-stream because you can do 6 displays out of an AMD card.
Hey, so wait.
Maybe.
Ah,
How
we
does
shipped
that,
back the other.
how does that Samsung look?
We'll talk about that later. It looks fine.
Oh.
I mean, we'll have an article up later this week. I was hoping to have it up before today, but with preparing for JJ's arrival. Preparing for JJ's arrival slowed that down. It looks okay. It's not great. The viewing angles are okay, but not great. So
Okay.
I'm looking forward to what the Asus monitor has, and maybe what the Dell monitor has in terms of maybe a slightly improved panel. I don't know if they're using the same panel or different, but we'll see. For the price though, hot tip. Here's the scoop from the video. Like for $699, if you're okay with not perfect color and some color shifting off angle, it's a hell of a monitor to game on, right? I wouldn't do like color specific professional video editing on it, right? Maybe, but for a low cost 4K gaming panel, it kicks ass. What were you gonna say, Ken?
Well, that's your hardware software pick of the week. So I was going to try to get you to transition into that.
Speaking of which, let's get into our hardware and software picks of the week. And
Right,
I even had it brought up. So weird.
So you're saying even like the straight on, the color's kind of wonky?
No, it
No,
looks fine,
straight on it looks fine.
You put a colorimeter to it and you're fine.
Yeah, straight on it looks fine, but it is
As long as it looks good, as long as you can sit in front of it and
Yeah.
look from edge to edge,
Yep.
and it's good, uniform.
It's not perfect in the
stand
corners,
is
but it's
probably
consistent.
the-
Yeah, and the problem is the stand has tilt, but not a whole lot of tilt, and
Yeah.
it doesn't have swivel, and it doesn't have height adjustment. So you're kind of stuck with where it is,
It also doesn't have a VESA mount.
and it doesn't have a VESA mount, so you can't change that.
Now that's strange.
It's
I got
very
a drill.
You gotta drill. I have super glue. We all have double-sided sticky tape. I mean, you can
Listen.
make it happen if you want to make it happen.
Listen, Mr. Gorilla Glue the router to the wall in the cabinet.
It's a Switch. Thank you very
and
much.
it's been hanging there for years, perfectly fine. Thank you.
Even with 500 feet of Ethernet cable hanging off it.
So you can get this monitor. It's listed on Amazon now for $739.99. Is in stock by some place. I bought mine on Amazon from this reseller, UTM Inc. Mine was actually, I got the Korean model in, so I had to like figure out how to change the language of the menus, which was a little bit bad. The Amazon price when it's listed in stock is $699.99, which is the MSRP for this unit. It's just every time it comes in stock, it immediately sells out. So I would, if it were me, I would probably place an order on Amazon and give it a week or two and see if they come in stock. You can always cancel it if they don't actually come in stock, and that gives you the prime shipping and everything too. But if you need it now, I think UTM has it in sale for available. I think I paid like $740 for it. But
apparently NCIX still lists for $599.
Oh, really?
Which probably means Linus is going.
Yeah, they did. He did a story on that. Let me see. D590D. So $699 is what NCIX US is listing it as. It's highly allocated. Customers replacing the first order back at queue. And let me check Newegg real quick too. I'm sure they're sold out. It is the U28D590D. Of course. That's the model number. Very descriptive. And it looks like it's listed as in stock, but now Newegg does kind of what Amazon does, and they have other. This is sold by MNW Global or 27 Korea Monitors. That's the name of a reseller, 27 Korea Monitors. So there's that. That's my pick. Well, like I said, we'll talk about it more on the podcast next week because I have a video and a story going up about it. But it's not perfect, but for $699, I would buy that over the $2,400 PQ321Q. It's single stream. You don't have any setup issues, no compatibility problems, nothing like that. It's a big advantage. Jeremy, what do you got?
Well, if you can dodge the customs, you can get it for $600 Canadian dollars.
Well, what's that translate into
Canada.
real money?
But for those of us that can't afford that, I can offer you a very rare thing, an old game which was promised to be remade into something else, which then went back to the original game that the developers wanted to make but wasn't the one they released, and then got modded and is now released. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, it's Stalker. The original Stalker, the Lost Alpha, which was the game with vehicles, strange mind control aliens, and just even more disturbing than the original Stalker was released for free. A couple of guys have been working on the Lost Alpha standalone, and over the past 5 or 6 years or so, they have rebuilt it, they have replaced it, and it is now a thing. It's still kind of beta. There are still a lot of patches, a lot of work you got to do. You got to be a hardcore PC gamer, but if you're going back to Stalker because someone remade it, you're already a hardcore PC gamer.
Yeah, that's fair.
Absolutely free. Grab it on BitTorrent. Grab it straight from ModDB, and look forward to scaring the hell out of yourself like the original one did. Because I don't know if you guys remember the original one, but there were some really creepy moments in that one.
I don't remember much of it. I don't know if I benchmarked it or not.
I used to benchmark, but only around like the first area, and I never got any farther than like 30 minutes into the game.
Because you kept dying, right?
Well, no, it was exceptionally buggy on Win 7.
Yes, it was.
And Vista.
It was also unforgiving. They would just throw stuff that you can't kill and had to run from all the time.
All right, Josh, what do you got lined up for us?
You know, everybody likes memory. Memory is a good thing. Memory, you know, it went down in price, then it went up a little bit. Now it's back down to where things are good. 2x8 gigs at $21.33 for only like $79, and you can find it on sale at places too. So
pretty good.
G-Skill makes some pretty good memory. I have no problems with it. It is 1.6 volts, which, not as nice as 1.5 volts, but it's not going to kill you.
In a desktop computer, who cares?
Yeah, not a big deal. It looks sharp. It plays well.
Don't cut yourself.
And you know what? Nobody really worries about latencies anymore. You notice that?
No, they don't. You're right.
And that's just because they don't particularly matter because the memory runs so damn fast.
People don't
You're not
care,
gonna
and
notice.
for a decently good reason, I guess.
Hey, you remember CAS2 latency and DDR? That was the big thing to
Oh,
have.
yeah.
Yeah, nobody cares anymore. 8, 9, 10.
Still want to know what the latencies are going to be on DDR4 when it comes out. 'Cause
100.
it could matter again for a little bit.
100.
Oh, God.
CL100. Alan, what's your pick?
So I've been using my pick for the podcast. It's the Kingston HyperX Cloud headset. So they came out with like a
fluffy?
professional kind of ish, whatever you want to call it, headset of their own with the HyperX branding on it. I put one of these on at CES, and it is like, when they say cloud, they're not kidding. Like, it just feels like there's not even a headset on your head.
Oh, see, I was thinking
Yeah,
that the
'cause it's
sound
cloud.
only
It's on the
came.
cloud.
I thought the sound only came from the internet servers of the
No, nothing like that. As a matter of fact,
Oh.
it's like the exact opposite of that, because it doesn't even come with the USB converter. They assume that you have a good quality sound card, and so you only get phono jacks,
Boy,
for
are they wrong.
speakers and mic on your headset itself. But it does come with a bunch of other adapter kind of stuff. Like, it even comes with like an airplane adapter,
airplane.
like so you can plug it in and like to if you're on a flight.
Yep.
It comes with this is a smartphone adapter, so you connect the two guys from the headset, and
Right.
it gives you the the headset and mic combined.
Right.
Comes with a couple of extension cables. You could if you connected all the extension cables it comes with, you could probably go about 15 feet. Just a quick guess with this guy.
Wouldn't you want one single long cable though?
Well, okay, so they didn't want to. You could tell what they were going for. They didn't want to put a really long cable just on the headset itself.
I guess if
right?
they want
Because-
you to use it with a phone, they don't.
Yeah, so you don't want it incredibly long. I would say it's probably
Stuff that
about
15 feet in your pocket when you're walking down the street.
it's probably about a 6-foot cable that comes on the headset. But then it comes with one of the other things that's an extension is also a 6-foot cable attached to a little volume control, mute kind of.
Yep.
It even has like a mute button, like just like a momentary mute, and then there's a slider. So that gives you another 6 feet, and then there's another just separate straight cable. So if you don't want to use the mute thing, you could just use the straight extension if you need to go like 12 feet or so. Just a bunch of little nice touches. Comes with like felt ear liners instead of the leather ones if you want to swap those out. But the thing is,
$100?
it's basically really soft leather, like really kind of just soft touch kind of leather to the ear pads and to the top of the headset.
Yep.
And there's actual like the good quality memory foam inside. Like you could tell, you can like squish it with your finger and
Can
it
I
kind of leaves
make
an
a pillow
indentation.
out of it?
Yeah, it leaves a little indentation for a little while, like the heat-sensitive memory foam stuff. And it's a really light headset, and the mic is detachable too. So if you just want to use them as headphones, you can just.
And
yank the
these
mic out.
are about $100.
They're about $100.
All right.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah, good stuff.
All right, Maury, he put. Was this from last week or is this from this week? He put in there. Let's see. Through the brightest day and darkest night, these will do. Acasa Vegas LED 60 centimeter light strips. I should have told him I had a bunch of these. I could have sent him.
Those look like. Are those the multiple color ones or just?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yep. I got like. These are single color.
Yeah.
Are they?
Really? There's like 4 pins to the connector.
Yeah, I think it's RGB. Maybe not. I
No.
don't. Well, yeah.
Exit out of the picture.
Can't tell.
Exit out of the
Yeah, they have chips on each.
Listing says red.
Yep. Nope. They're individual. I could have sent them a whole bunch. I got reels and reels of that. Maury, you send me an email. I got all kinds of strip LED lights that I probably won't need. But $7.99 if you want to add those into your PC, which I know he's preparing his QuakeCon build as we speak. Actually, I think he's writing a review as we speak, but in the back of his mind, he's building his QuakeCon build. So that's going to do it for our 299th PC Perspective podcast episode. For 300, we're probably going to do nothing special. I don't really know yet.
Hey, you know what? You are real special.
Oh,
I will be
Real
local
special.
for the 300th.
That's not special.
That's not special.
I'm putting all my stuff in a moving truck just to be
For the
over
300th
there.
episode. You know, you could have just brought a headset. That would have been fine.
Just no, it's not enough.
No.
I go big or
No, I
I
mean,
mean, you only
something
wear
actual
one set
special.
of clothes. I mean, how much packing do you really need?
yeah.
He needs all his things so that he can have them.
Yeah.
Yes, my glasses and my shoes.
So yeah, that's gonna be it. We'll be back on May 14th. That is a day that is happening. I guess that's it. Make sure if you're watching live, be here tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. Is that right? Yeah. For the JJ/Asus Z97 live stream. I really just want to call it the JJ live stream because,
Not the JJ.
I mean, that's really what it is, right? It's the JJ live stream. The rest, there'll be motherboards or some crap.
yeah, it's
I don't
King
really know.
Julian. Not the JJ.
The JJ will be there. Join us there, and if you missed it,
I'm breaking up. I'm sorry.
who are you breaking up with? Is it me?
My internet connection.
Fair enough.
His porn
So
addiction.
Charter bought up like Bresnan and Optimum, and
Charter
they're changing a bunch
Charter
of
bought what
things.
we have,
and
too.
I can't see a damn thing. I just see big fudgy things, and you guys are breaking up.
Well, you sound great coming back here, so who cares? We'll be back
Well,
next week, everybody.
That's awesome.
I'm Ryan Trout.
I'm Jeremy Hellstrom.
I'm Josh Walrath.
And I'm Alan Malventano.
Goodbye.